What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Brock.
I'm Mike.
I'm Brock, and tonight we are joined by a first-time guest, Mr. Milton Alexander. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about two big ones tonight. Two big ones, Omega and Morpheus, as we look back at the old early classics cards. These ones from 2079, even though they were referenced in the ones we talked about the past few weeks. So
2074.
2079 are these
Four,
cards, though, the card year.
Oh, Classics 2074.
four. Okay.
But these came out with the set 2079. We've talked
Ah,
about this,
yeah,
Mike.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have the PDF of that too. I got that from Michael Brown.
Oh, it's so confusing.
It is because they released them out of order. So yes, they're referenced in the 2074 handbook, even though the cards were released initially in 2079, which came out before the 2074 set. See how I pointed and stuff?
Yeah, it was confusing for me to follow it too. As a new player, that was when I got a PDF copy. I was kind of like, huh?
What happens sometimes. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit of your history with the Champions of the Galaxy game, Milton, and how you got into it?
Okay, so a little different my history. So I knew about it 30 plus years ago when I saw a PWI magazine.
Hmm.
And I remember seeing the Star Warrior and Wolf on the first ad, and then I remember the first invasion that had Galactic Punisher and Bishop Hell. And I thought they were really cool, but like a lot of people I've talked to, I didn't have anybody to play with, or my parents were going to buy it for me. So 30 plus years later, during the pandemic, I kind of wasn't happy where wrestling was going. And I'm like, I wanted to play a card game or something I could do at home, and somebody recommended Filsinger Games. I'm like, what's that? And I saw it. I'm like, wow, that's still, I didn't think it existed. You know what I mean? Like a lot of wrestling games that you find in those ads in PWI, they don't exist. And so I went to my first convention in Phoenixville and I got hooked with all the products like ever since.
Awesome. So you're relatively new to the whole thing then.
Right.
Very cool.
Were you into the Legends or the GWF?
I got into Legends initially, but I got into GWF. How I ended up getting it for me as a new player was a little overwhelming with all the different, reimaging and then the current storyline. So what I ended up doing was I told Todd, the first person I ever met from Filsinger Games, like, let me start with the remastered because I wanted to play the guys that I didn't get to play growing up.
Right, right.
So I bought the 2086 set, and Star Warrior really liked, but I guess my two favorites actually I really leaned towards was Commander Sam and Massive.
Nice.
So Massive is probably their original set is my favorite character. I like Omega, but you're getting, at the end of his career, not an Omega that you could really push. I still, would use him, but I know he's at the tail end of his career.
Right on. That's a good segue to
It is.
us talking about Omega in his prime in this
Yep.
2079 card that you can use in 2074 because he's referenced in the handbook. See, this card is stacked. It's got two
See,
finishers. One's a
and the
zero,
card
one's a +3.
and the card is broken.
How's it broken?
He's got no reversals.
Oh yeah, no agility or power checks.
Yeah. See, I thought that was part of a gimmick,
Was it a typo?
and it's a typo because I
Wow.
went to Tom. I'm like, hey, this is a great, subtle
Yeah.
little gimmick, and Tom's like, what do you mean? And I pointed out, and Tom's like, no one has ever noticed that.
Whoops.
And
Oops.
it can be surprisingly powerful when you have no
Oh
reversals.
yeah, yeah.
And when I made my GWFZ character, I gave him no reversals. And Rob Bobian's like, that's way too powerful. I'm like, well, Omega has it. And he's like, what do you mean Omega has it?
Yeah. It's right here. I can't get it to focus.
He's got no
It's get- it's
reversals,
it's getting there. It's getting there. Nope. I
no
think it's the
power
blue
or
ink.
jewelry
Yeah,
reversals.
I was able to see it.
Yeah, it gives him an early advantage for sure.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, you're gonna get everything through. But yeah, he's got one down on his card that's protected by a leave option. So there's that. Two finishers, A ropes, A turnbuckle, B ring, B death jump. Four disqualification, -4 agility, zero power, cage rating of 3, and a pin of 5-2.
Solid.
That's amazing compared to his 2086 card.
Yeah, he went downhill fast, but
Oh yeah,
It was a rough 5 years for him.
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely one of the all-time greats for sure.
See, it makes me wish I had these cards came out first
Hmm.
because then I could have developed a background.
Right.
Because I don't, the Omega we got, he didn't do anything.
Hmm.
Mhm.
But this Omega, yeah, this guy's a stud.
He is.
He's like the ultimate warrior.
Yeah, just looking at his stats. I mean, we're going to talk about Morpheus too in this episode. I don't know why my camera won't focus on the cards tonight. I'm wondering if it's the blue ink.
It could be blue ink because, like, I know I'm looking at it right now, my end, and it looks like depending on how you move the card, it kind of is fuzzy in or out. It could just be me, but I mean, I like this art. That card's great. Even
Oh,
the
there it is.
revised
There we
art.
go.
Yeah, either end, I like the art. I know some people complained about other art, but I think I haven't really seen a bad Omega art. It's or even the one that was a couple years ago, the con exclusive for what is it?
The
That
Cronus one.
other set. Yeah, the
Stevie
Cronus one.
Richards
That's it.
Omega.
Yeah, that I like that art too. Um, I haven't. I don't have really a complaint of Omega card from an art standpoint that's bad.
Well,
Even
this is
his manager card too, as well. I forgot about that one.
yeah, this is a Larry Snelly drawing,
Yes,
and I don't think I've really seen a bad Larry Snelly art.
it's true too.
This is a great pose.
Yeah. I mean, he just looks
Yeah,
like a warrior ready to go.
yeah. I like the detail in his sashes and stuff, especially the one going like across his chest and the one on the right arm, like his right. That's all right on the forearm. Oh, down the forearm, more on the bicep. That just the detail there, and then even his headband, if you see it, that's really good. Like a detail and artwork there. I think.
I'm moving very slowly so we stay in focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of detailing in there.
Yeah.
He's an important character. He deserved to get this, prime card of himself, even if we got it years later.
Yeah.
It wasn't too long though. It was 1992, so it was like 6 years after the game came out. So,
It's one of those things where like I said, I wish I would have started it, did like a soft reboot even.
hmm a lot of people did, and then they even went back in with early classics that the Mike Molesky did, and filled in even more gaps, and people would go back again. So,
Hmm.
So it's pretty interesting. I was a big fan of just that card. Like I never used it. I think
hmm
I probably wrestled Omega and Morpheus a couple times just to, use the card.
Yeah.
I think I probably did a best 3 out of 5 just to do it. And no, I wouldn't remember who won it. Uh, but that's when I first quickly noticed that hey, this card's missing something.
Yeah, that's funny. I never noticed it because I didn't really play with these cards much.
Whoa, I'm even shocked here.
I know, right? Hey, I stormed the ring. What was the name of that deal where you got everything? Storm the ring.
Storm the ring, I think. Yeah,
Hmm.
I stormed the ring like no other.
and but yeah, it's a solid card. Like You could drop him into today's game, and
He would
the
compete.
power creep wouldn't be that bad
Right. He would compete.
because his finishers are what, a 0+2 or a 0+3?
0+3.
Yeah,
Yep.
and especially if you think back then, wrestlers who had a +3 finisher, it was Thanos, Star Warrior, Wolf, and
Where-
that Omega card.
Mm-hmm.
Or Torn Caleb.
Yeah.
So there weren't a lot of +3s out there.
Mm-mm. And he's the patriarch of like a major wrestling family too. Here he is,
That is
Omega.
true.
Should we move on over to his rival,
Morpheus.
Morpheus?
And I do like that pick. That's a cool pose.
Yeah, I like this one a lot too.
Now he's got some big ass traps on
He's a big dude.
him.
Yeah, you know what? It kind of reminds me of I don't know if you guys have or played this Legend of Wrestling card, but just kind of reminds me of Dutch Savage's card a little bit in some way.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, he's a guy out of the Pacific Northwest, but it just kind of had that. But I like the detail too. That's one thing. I think the blue ink makes a dotted difference and just the detail in it with these cards.
Was this Morpheus's only wrestling card?
As far as I know, yes.
Yeah. There's a bootleg for Kronos. Bobian gave me that one actually this year.
Yeah, the Hades card.
Yep.
It's a great card too.
Yeah.
I thought I had
I
it in
was
Armchair.
trying to talk him into doing a bootleg for Massive. He has considered it because Massive didn't have any like too many cards too.
Right.
Yeah, I've talked about that because out of the original 24, most people know Massive was my guy. I was a big, big Massive fan.
So looking at Morpheus here, he's pretty tough too. He's not I don't think he's as tough as Omega. First of all, he's got agility and power checks. So there's that on level
Mm.
1 and level 2 offense. He's got 2 downs on his card, a pin of 4/1. He's got 2 finishers, trip to Hades, both +1, -1 agility, -3 power. Um, 2 straight through level 3 moves on 2, but he's got that nuisance of a level 1 or number 1 rule on level 3 of a chokehold 2, which they
Yeah.
did a lot in that day. Omega did not have that. He had a death jump there instead.
But that's something that Tom did when he made two main guys to feud. So one would be the agility guy, one would be the power guy.
Hmm.
So they,
Okay.
could always do the reversals.
Right. Not Omega.
Nope, not
Nope.
Omega.
That's funny. I never knew that until today.
That's okay. I don't think if I brought it up, Tom wouldn't have noticed.
That's funny. Well, it makes sense though. If this is supposed to be the premier guy,
Yeah. Well,
he would
that's what I said. I'm like, hey Tom, that was a great subtle gimmick, and he's like, what do you mean?
make makes sense to me. Like he's that good of a ring general that he would know not to try certain moves on certain people.
Yeah,
That's how I interpret that.
that's how I did it with Ares. I'm like, hey, he's supposed to be a Spartan warrior, trained from the age of 7 for combat,
Hmm.
would know how to, what to do, what not to do, just not put them in.
Yeah, makes sense.
But now, if I would have ran Morpheus, uh, just by his stats, he's one of those guys. If you get him down, like Lord Nexus won the world title for me because it was Titan drop 5-6, 5-6. I rolled so many 5-6s at times, guys with double finishers, and I won so many tournaments with guys with double finishers
Hmm.
that I think he would have. But Omega also has a double finisher, but 0+3.
Yeah, now everybody has a double finisher.
It's just coming.
Mhm.
And an add one. I don't think the ad one existed yet when these two cards came out.
No, no, that
When did
wasn't
the ad one first come out?
Vengeance.
Okay.
Close to this, because that was Snelly art too, right?
Yep. So we're in the Snelly era.
The Snelly era.
But he would have been a solid bad guy. He would have
Hmm.
been a solid heel. Get a few of the upset wins maybe against Omega.
The coolest thing about him is he wears a bodysuit with his initial carved into it, so you can see his chest hair.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think that's what's going on there.
yeah, that could be. I've never really looked at it. I thought it was just like he shaved his chest like how Hogan used to do it into a big spike.
Uh-huh.
okay. Yeah, that might be what that is. I
I think it's like a Power Girl boob window.
don't.
It's a Power Girl boob window, or the when Hogan was the golden, did you ever see those
Sterling
pictures?
Golden.
Yeah, Sterling Golden, and he
Oh
had
God, yeah, yeah, that's old school.
the spike. That's what I thought it was a spiked chest hair.
That's funny.
So, but yeah, I like I said, I would have really liked to use these guys.
Yeah. I would like to have used a lot of guys, but that's a whole story for another thing.
Tony, on your stream, do a reboot.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm planning to do a reboot myself.
Maybe as more color cards come out.
Well,
Yeah,
you
that's
said
what I'm
you
doing. I stopped playing until the other color cards out. I'm gonna start from the beginning.
because Milton, didn't you say you ordered the 2074 set?
Yeah, I got that, and then the 2076 is coming, and I'm just kind of stacking everything. Before all that came out, I made it to the first invasion. So in typical fashion, my first champion was Thanos,
Hmm.
and he actually beat Star-Lord. So kind of just the way the booking went. But I booked my GWF very similar. I don't know if you guys ever heard of All Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah, with Masawa. So it's very booked that way, and even a belt that I had Michael Brown made was the same. It looks the same like Giant Baba's belt. So it's very much that type of style. But I'm gonna do a reset actually to start from the beginning, especially having Omega. I kind of want to make him like one of my flagship guys.
It's definitely worth doing now with these new cards coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people were if and if on Morpheus's art. I didn't mind it, but I know some people I know when I saw on Discord, but it was like, I didn't see anything really like anything. I know you're not going to please everybody, but I
Right.
thought it wasn't bad.
No, it's a good drawing. It's a great heel drawing.
Yeah.
He's got the power bad guy pose where he's
Hmm. And I like the background of it too. So I mean, it's I know Champions uses a lot of different artists versus I know Legends of Wrestling is kind of pretty much Warner
Hmm.
dominated. So, as like I said, I don't have too many complaints. With Daryl Banks or anybody else, like I said, that I've seen, I'm still new to it, but like I said, I think they're all artists have their own style.
where do you get introduced to Mike Gustovich?
He's the best.
He's a one and done.
Oh wow. Yeah, and I like some of the art in the what is it, 21 something. It's in the or I don't know if it's 2125, but it's the one where Bloodline's in, but he's like during the near the end of his it's one of the first color sets.
That probably, yeah, Legends 2125. I believe that was Daryl Banks. It's a good one.
Yeah, Daryl's a great artist.
Yeah, he
Sure is.
really got the Omega family influence with that card. If you really looked at the art with it. But I know that card's more towards going bloodlines like tail ender more lower in the card from what my understanding was.
Okay, well, let's slide on over. Like I said, we do our Mount Rushmore.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
since Milton's a vet,
Thank you.
we'd we decided to do our favorite war movies. You can have any time period. We let you know what it is coming up.
Hmm.
And so if you want, I'll start it off. That way you guys can still think and put your stuff in order.
Mine are going to be dumb, just like the Westerns from a couple weeks ago.
What did you do? Spaghetti westerns?
Worse.
Oh, worse. What's worse than spaghetti westerns?
My choices.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to start off with The Dirty Dozen,
Okay.
World War II movie. Sorry, I do have a bit of a speech impediment. I had to go to the dentist. I had a filling come out, so I had to get it
Oh,
replaced. So
that
this
sounds like a
side of my
lot of
face,
fun.
yeah, this side of my face is
Oh,
froze. Yeah, the Dirty Dozen. It was one of the first war movies I saw. I used to hang out with my grandpa a lot, and he was, a U.S. war vet. He fought in World War II, so we'd always watch the old movies together. And it's just one movie I saw so many times with him. Second, another old war movie, but this one's in the Navy, and it's more of a comedy, but Operation Petticoat. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
I've heard of that. I've seen ads for AMC. They've played that before.
Yeah, it's I loved it. It's you know Cary Grant. It's got some great subtle humor. It's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. Then I'm gonna jump right through to 300.
Oh, there you go, going way back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now it's not as historically accurate, but it for me it was had some of the greatest one-liners in movies, and some of those were true. The line where my arrows will blacken the sky, and he said, "Yeah, well then we'll fight in the shade." That was actually a quote.
Hmm.
Uh, then my fourth movie, I had Kelly's Heroes.
mm.
It's one where kind of near the end, the good guys and bad guys both kind of get a little bit of you know they each take a little bit of the gold. They're good guys, but yeah, they want a little bit extra. So it showed that the good guys weren't always on the up and up. And then my honorable mention, it's tough to say it's a war movie. I'm going to say it's a war movie, but the original Red Dawn.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's a
okay.
war. It's
It's a
fiction,
war
but
movie. I think you can count it that because that was a what if scenario.
Yeah.
hmm.
That was a what if because we were in that Cold War height, and that's what the 82nd Airborne is for that what if scenario happened. So, yeah, I could
And
see that.
and I just recently watched they did an Australian version of it,
Oh
which was
yeah,
pretty decent
Wow.
as well. It's on Netflix. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, it's on there as well.
nice.
Okay, Milton, did you want to go next?
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna bring my first one because it's kind of a personal story on it. We Were Soldiers that came out
Oh,
with Mel
I've heard of
Gibson.
it.
Yeah, so I watched that was the last movie I watched it before I enlisted in 2002. I went into the military like 6 months after September 11th. So I went to the movie theater, and one thing I'll remember about that, there was an older gentleman when he saw Lyndon Johnson on the screen talk about we're not going to send young boys to Vietnam, and he said some stuff that you can't put on YouTube here. We're going to strike or whatever, but it was pretty accurate for that time, and I don't blame that gentleman, but he fought in a Vietnam War. It's a lot tougher war than what I fought, but I really liked it. I like the story about it. It's a true story. Like any movie, there are some things that are changed around, but I really did like the choreographing with a lot of the scenes and a lot of the history with the Seventh Air Cav. So that to me, for that reason, that's my number one. My number two, I watched this as a kid in history class. This is a Civil War Glory with Denzel Washington.
It's also on my list because I watched it in
That
history
is,
class.
yeah, I liked it. It's not 100%. There are some inaccuracies, but there's some truths to it. I do read a lot about Civil War history, and I try to really educate about it because there's a lot of misteachings about it, but that's a whole nother day. But I like it because it just really teaches you kind of the beginning of how the war started and some of the accuracies there, especially about soldiers not getting paid equal pay or restrictions with firearms, but just a story about, a dark time in our nation's history and how, Civil War started. So I definitely watch it, definitely recommend it for a Civil War movie. I would say number three is Black Hawk Down
Oh, yeah.
with Josh Hartman. I liked it, and it was a really good recruiting piece. I talked to a lot of guys who became, Army Rangers. I had a good friend of mine that was a sergeant major that was in he was a Green Beret. It was a very good recruiting piece, but it was also showed a lot of our failures as a military, especially not to get political, but there were a lot of failures with that victory and a lot of repercussions in the long term. So I did like it for that reason. And my final one, I would say, as a war movie, I'd want to throw Platoon in there.
Another solid choice.
Hmm.
Yeah, I especially I like the near the ending that famous picture with Sergeant Elias and just that whole ending, how everything was wiped out, and it was very different than all the World War II movies you would watch, glorifying beating the Germans or the Japanese. It showed really the negative impacts of Vietnam. So those are kind of like my four.
And
Cool.
do you have an honorable mention?
I'm gonna say only honorable mention because you mentioned it in one of your movies. I was gonna pick, so I had to pivot a little bit. I like the Dirty Dozen because some people don't know Lee Marvin was actually a Marine. And I watched something the other day. They talked about that movie. He wanted them to be accurate when it came to like a lot of the maneuvers and the battle he had with their director. He says, "Well, we're going to be so over the top with it, the fans are going to be absorbed with action." And he kind of got upset with that because it's like, I'm a veteran. I fought in wars. What you're doing in some of these things are not realistic. It's almost like if you want to throw another honorable mention I have, Inglorious Bastards.
Oh, yeah.
That's really, I think that's where he was. That movie obviously wasn't out yet, but I think that's the thinking he was going with that director of that movie. And Glorious Bastards is definitely well over the top. I do like that movie. That's another honorable mention is World War II.
Nice. All right, here we go with mine. I'm gonna start with Benedict Arnold because Kelsey Grammer was an awesome George Washington. Going Revolutionary War.
Don't even get me
Um,
going on Benedict Arnold.
what?
Don't even get me going on Benedict Arnold.
But
I never seen it.
Kelsey
Point of
Graham
views, baby. Point of views.
Kelsey Grammer as George Washington. I was a fan of 1917. It's a more recent one. I don't know if either of you saw that.
Oh, I've heard of it. I think it's on Netflix,
Or
or it was on Crave.
Okay. It's fairly recent, came out a few years ago. I enjoyed that one. Um, Trying to think, some tough ones. Glory was on my list. I enjoyed The Patriot
Oh, with Mel Gibson,
with Mel Gibson.
the cannonball scene.
Yeah. We watched that one in high school, I think, too. They made us close our eyes during that scene. We all did. Um, I enjoyed Full Metal Jacket just for like like
That's
Vincent
another French
D'Onofrio in
movie.
that movie was amazing.
Yeah, D'Onofrio
Pearl
at the
movie.
beginning was, and the drill sergeant, that was his first time acting.
And he's
He
played that
Mhm.
character for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
And he was a Marine. He was a Marine and a drill instructor at real life as well.
yeah.
I believe it.
That's why he went off on everybody, and they were like, "You're hired."
He was good. I wish I knew his name. And then for
Marley
my,
Emery.
oh, okay, there we go. Thank you. And for my honorable mention, I'm going to go with Forrest Gump because it's pretty much centered around that whole time period of the Vietnam
Yeah,
War.
no,
So I'm going to put
Oh,
Forrest
okay.
Gump on the list.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
it is. Won an Academy Award.
Did.
They gave him the Medal of Honor too.
Yeah. Something jumped up and bit me. But yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of others that I'm forgetting too. I like
Oh,
300, and
yeah. There's
Jeff
well,
mentioned Troy when we were talking earlier today. He wanted to, Troy was on his list. I think that was good. If you want to go way back to the
Okay.
kind of prehistory wars. But yeah, there's so many good ones.
yeah, there are, but it's one of those genres where you just pick one, and there's thousands upon thousands of war movies.
Hmm. Then you can get into Star Wars and
I That's what I told Jeff. Jeff's like Star Wars. Like, no, gotta be
Avengers
on
and
Earth
No.
Infinite.
and build
Oh,
spaceships.
Avengers Infinity War. Oh wait, there's a spaceship in that.
Well, you could throw Starship Troopers.
There you go. That's
But
on
but
Earth.
but there's no. They fight on another planet.
Yeah, if I on another planet, I just threw that in there. If Jeff wanted to go that route.
Space war movies. Enemy Mine, one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, that's an old one. They used to play on HBO all the time in Cinemax.
But we should probably wrap this up here.
Yeah, thanks, Milton. First of all, thank you for your service. Like we tied
Hey,
this all
no,
up.
thank you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Always hearing that. And thank you for having me on. Next time, you ever need somebody coming on, same thing with GWF or even Legends of Wrestling.
Yeah.
Definitely willing to come back on.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back. You're a good guest. We appreciate you hanging out with us. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet done so, click that subscribe button, which is right underneath Milton.
So Milton, hit
Also,
that subscribe button.
hit it. Let's reach down and grab it.
That subscribe button.
He got it. All right. So,
Mike will give you the bionic elbow,
he will. He's done it.
the Canadian dream.
And while you're here, scroll down to the description. You'll see all of our friends who make Filsinger Games related content, including the official Filsinger Games podcast roll up, the Legends team's Uncharted Territory, Dizzy Dice from Lee Longpre, Filsinger Games solo promoter from Grant Pachoco. Grant's also here on YouTube. You'll also find Dave Little's Heartland Championship Wrestling after further review. Brad plays 81, Bucky 749, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody. They're all listed below. I'm back on Twitch. I try and stream Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern, so check that out. And yeah, until next time, everybody, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Good
Have a
night,
great
everyone.
night.
Later.
Later.